Hey guys, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program with Nitro. Well, now that this new update is out, I want to continue doing our career mode. So this is episode 2 of the career mode that I started. One thing that I noticed a little late was that the craft that you launch needs to actually be intact when you get back down to the ground, and you actually get way more science points if your craft returns home all in one piece. So, armed with that knowledge, I'm going to redo some of my previous missions that I had and try to unlock some more gear here. Now, I did do one more mission on my own just to see what happens if you get duplicates of science, and you actually get close to nothing when you do duplicate science missions. So here's a new pod that I designed specifically for our new mission. Now, one problem that I noticed is that it looks like the rockets generate power when they're running. I'm not entirely sure how all that works, but I did notice whenever I tried to transmit data back home that I didn't have enough power. So what I did is I just attached 2 more pods next to here so I have enough power to actually transmit data back. So gonna find out how that works. Hopefully it works well. I already know that this craft flies, and now that we have these radial decouplers on here, I can actually detach some of this excess weight. So decouplers are very useful, one of the most useful things that you can have to start out with. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Now, there are not 3 Kerbals in the pod currently. Oh, look at that. We have a spotlight. Ooh, that's new. So yeah, it looks like they added a spotlight to the top of the tower there, which is a very nice addition, and you can also see the runway lights on our runway over there, which is another nice addition. But now we have light for nighttime launches, and that looks pretty good. I actually like the lighting effect. It doesn't look like we're getting any of that surface reflection off the bottom like we were in the previous version, so the updates seem to have done their job there. I really like that. I wanted to have a couple of rovers around here with spotlights on them just to shine up on the craft, but that looks like it's working pretty good right there. Love it. Alright, so as we're actually flying, I think I'm going to do one in high atmosphere with our mystery goo tank here, and then once we're in space, I actually want to try and accelerate in space and see if that changes the properties of the goo. So those will be our 2 objectives. I believe Jebediah is in the center one, although I'm not entirely sure. He should be. All of these are going to parachute down to the ground, so we're going to recover all 3 anyways. But I believe he's in the center one. Alright, so here we go. Alright, so there we go. We used up the majority of our fuel to get up to that apoapsis, but now that we're on our way up there, I want to do one of the science things with the mystery goo. So here we go. It's getting very cold. Apparently, also I figured out you get 40% of the science value if you transmit the data opposed to keeping the data. So if you keep this data, you get 100% of the science value. So that's an important thing to note. And then once we get into space and I'm actually doing an orbital burn, I'm going to do our second science experiment there. So let's see, even though we don't actually have crew in these pods, we could potentially put crew in every single one of these pods, but it won't give us any added benefit if we do, because I've already tried it. So yeah, this whole thing has to actually land all in one piece in order for us to get all of the data benefit from it. So I will have to try and do a powered landing with this thing, which I'm not too crazy about, and that means I'll have to redo some of my staging. This actually gets a lot easier to accomplish once you have those radial flat parachutes, but we'll get to that later. So we didn't get any extra data for the mystery goo under acceleration in space, which is kind of interesting because under constant acceleration you actually generate artificial gravity, so it's kind of weird that nothing happened there. Ideally it should fly back to the end of the tube and then possibly flatten. If it's brittle, then it probably wouldn't do anything. But if it were more like a gel, you would actually see it flatten. Alright, well this craft works actually really well for orbiting, so I can circularize this orbit if I need to, but there's really no need to do that. So like before, I'm just going to land over here in this general desert area, because in this, I can zoom in on it here. In this desert area, this is kind of like a really flat plane. It looks a little bumpy, but it's really not. This is a very good spot to land over here. So that's the goal. And I figured out also that you can get a crew report from your Kerbals while they're in flight. So instead of getting a crew report now, I'm actually going to wait until I'm a little bit over the point, and I want to try a spacewalk and see what that gives us. Alright, here we go. So we are in position and ready for our first spacewalk. I'm going to orient the craft to perfect north or normal in space here on our nav ball, just so it's easier to get back inside. We want to face the sun. Let's go ahead and rotate that way. And now we can have Jebediah go EVA. Haha, there he is. Space to let go. Let's see, we still have thruster packs in the beginning, so that's nice. And there he is, Jebediah in space. Blinded by the sunlight. Alright, let's see what we can do here. EVA report. So we can get an EVA report. Observations about the situation. Kerbin's grasslands. Alright. So we're going to keep that data, so we actually have an EVA report. Now we are above Kerbin's grasslands, so I guess the report would actually be different if we were over a desert or an ocean, so that'll be part of our next mission, so I want to see if we actually get a different value there. Let's go ahead and get back in our pod. Let's see, EVA report stored. Huh. That's interesting. So can I get another one? I'm gonna have to try that and check. So he is definitely in the center pod now, so if I want to, I believe I can just detach these. There is a fair amount of fuel in here. I want to try something real quick. Do a fuel transfer, and I actually want to try to just detach these extra pods that we don't need. Oh, I guess that tank's full now, actually. Yeah, so this whole centerpiece will have full fuel. Or, you know, close to full fuel. As close as we can get it, but that's actually really good. So what this is going to do is it's going to reduce our weight in space. Alright. So now we have that. Let's just break off. Looks like these two are duplicates, which is awesome. I don't have to separate them. Yes. Alright. So let's see. I'm just gonna point this retrograde. And, well, let's see, do I want to detach? What's that? Periapsis, 76,000. I'm going to try to actually deorbit these pieces. Alright, so 20,000 is definitely a good periapsis for that. And let's go ahead and jettison. Did it work? Nope. Oh well. That doesn't matter. Let's see, periapsis. I'm not quite done in space yet, so I do want to reestablish orbit. Too much. I actually lost a lot of my control now because I jettisoned those. Probably not the smartest idea. Alright, that's more than enough. Now that we have 92,000. And those pieces that we jettisoned, those are going to crash down into Kerbal somewhere. And now we're over an ocean, so now that we've stored that previous crew report, I do want to see what happens if we get a new report over the ocean. So this will be interesting to see what Jebediah thinks of this. So let's go ahead and go EVA again. Activate our thruster pack. Yeah, so if I just reoriented these docking clamps to actually point the opposite direction, then that would definitely jettison all these parts, I believe. These tanks are actually attached to this upper one, so not 100% sure. Yep, so there we go. We got a new report, and it's over Kerbal's water. Alright, so you definitely get a new report if you're over a different type of terrain on Kerbal. So, with that knowledge, we're getting more science data each time we go over new terrain. And so, I wonder what would happen if we do it over desert and Arctic. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to do one over the North Pole, but I definitely know I'm going to be able to do one over the desert, because that's part of our current orbital trajectory, or orbital path, I guess I should say, and that's over here. So once we get over here, we can try and do another EVA report and check out that area. I don't know what would happen if we were over this crater either, so there's a bunch of things to test. We already did grasslands. I'm relatively certain there would be something for mountains, because there are mountain ranges. We'll find out once we get over the desert. That'll give us a new EVA report, for sure. Let's see. So here we go. It stores multiple packets of data here. So that's good to know. So we have 2 stored data, and I think these canisters are a little different. Keep data. Yeah, I guess these canisters aren't actually going to store it. That's okay. Alright, so we're not going to recharge our energy, so we do have to be relatively careful about how long we stay in space. So now, let's go ahead and get our orbit over the desert, getting close to the dark side of the planet. But we should still be okay. Gotta do this quickly. Let's get out. And spacewalk. EVA report. Yep, deserts. So we got another one. Awesome. So we definitely get a bunch of different reports over what terrain you're over, and I would assume that this would also be true for other planets, like for instance Eve. If you did an EVA report over Eve's oceans and regular terrain, you would probably get different reports there, as well as Duna's ice caps and stuff like that. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I definitely do not have faith in inclination change. Yeah, thousands and thousands of meters per second. That's not going to happen. Even though this craft is extremely lightweight and we do have full fuel here, I don't think that that's going to be a possibility at all. So, let's see. We have a bit of a problem. We're not going to be able to land in the desert, but I will be able to set her down over on the other side of this grasslands, and our electric charge will allow us to do that, so that's good. Alright, so that's the plan. We now have a lot of data that we've gathered, and now we need to set it down over there. Now I don't want to jettison the pod, otherwise I risk losing this data. However, I can activate the parachute. And if I had the other ones on here, then we would have multiple parachutes, but I didn't anticipate this, so oh well. It might be a little heavy coming down, but we'll see. I guess we could always try and see what happens if we get one over the mountains. Not really a whole lot of mountains over here, but we'll try. We'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and just do it right here and see what Jebediah has to say. Oh, is he already off? Yep. Alright. Highlands. So, yep. Keep data. So we definitely got a new report there. And that data is stored, and right now we are facing the sun, so let's see what that gives us. Yeah, alright, so we'll keep that data. Alright, so that was all in all, some very good packets of data. I'm gonna go ahead and burn at Apoapsis over here for our re-entry. I almost wonder what would happen if we got a a report while undergoing re-entry. That would be interesting. But for our next mission, I guess we could fly over the North Pole and get ourselves a crew report up there. So, might try that. Alright, getting close to Apoapsis. And there we go. just want to set her down anywhere over here. It's grassland area. Yeah, it's good enough. Alright, got plenty of fuel for an assisted landing, so that's good. I'm definitely going to need that. Let's see. Crew report. Override existing report? No, not yet. Alright, so I do actually want to try and overwrite the existing report upon our atmospheric reentry, so that should be interesting. Let's see what happens there. Again, I'm not transmitting any data. I'm keeping all the data because we want to get the maximum science value. Transmitting data, I guess, would be more useful for probes or satellites because you don't really use those to return to Kerbin, so you would just transmit the data back. And I guess any bases that you would set up on other planets or stuff like that, you would also transmit data that way. But any craft that returns back to Kerbin, you should always keep your data in your pod. So I think that is going to be my method and current practice. So let's go ahead and re-entry a little faster. Alright, here we go. Orient our craft. I'm just going to go ahead and rotate it so it's nice and flat coming in. And then I'm going to go ahead and get a crew report as we are undergoing re-entry. Well, the ship is on fire. Uh-oh, it activated. That parachute's down there. That's not good. It's still packed. Let's see, those blue should be okay. Here we go. Not as good data. That's interesting. Alright, so that was a beautiful reentry. Got a little lake over there. Go ahead and orient retrograde. Parachute, please work. There we go. Excellent. Something broke. That's never a good sound. Alright, so this should deploy roughly at 1,000 meters. Hopefully that's true. Got plenty of fuel for the assisted landing. I want to try to touch down nice and soft. A little fast. Come on. There you go. Good parachute. Alright, so we're still all in one piece. Gotta do the assisted landing if we don't want our craft to explode. Not 100% ideal, but we have made it. We're home. Safe in one piece, craft is intact. Engine still works, although we're not going to be going anywhere. Looks like that piece is about to break off. Alright, so that was a successful mission. Now let's see how much science we gathered from all this effort. This will be interesting. So here we are, the good luck landed at Kerbal. Recover. Lots of science. So that is what I like to see. 51 total science for that mission. All these EVA reports, we got maximum value out of all of that, so that's excellent. Our next report, if we do take it over one of the poles, that should be good. I believe also if we go over any islands or something, that might do something as well. But we'll have to see. There's not really a whole lot of islands on Kerbal. There's a couple. It's kind of hard. I guess you'd have to be down here to get a good view over the islands. So that's excellent. Got a lot of science value out of that. Now that we go to research, we have all different sorts of things that we can put our research points into. Now these are extremely high value. Let's see, jettison thrusters. Alright, so lander legs and everything, we want that. What's this? More science packages. We have 36 science currently. I guess I'll just go ahead and use it. So now we have unlocked everything that we need. Side engines and fuel tank, we don't really need that at all. But these struts and supports and everything like that, those are highly useful. A stabilizer and probe, that's also very useful. And new science gear and batteries, which we desperately need. And comms dish. So I'm probably going to go for this next one, science technology. And then after we get science technology, we'll do flight control, and I'm just going to work up this tech tree here like that. So we have 16 science remaining, which isn't bad. We need 45 for the next one. And this is our craft. Now, we did unlock a bunch of new things. So, let's see. This 200 power one, I believe, has, thrust vectoring, which we'd need if we were going to have any hope in controlling our craft. And we don't need wings, really. I only use these nose cones on here to reduce drag. We have lander legs and we have radial parachutes, which are all highly important. These radial parachutes are going to come in very handy, and so are these lander legs. I don't know if we'll be able to reach the moon. Let's see, we do have solid boosters, so maybe. Yeah, we can reach the moon, I believe, now that we have solid boosters unlocked. We got a landing engine. We have lander legs. I think it's possible. I'm gonna go ahead and try. So let's make a new craft on our standard pod here, because this is the only one that we currently have. And there's a parachute. And we want this to be lightweight. Probably not that lightweight. We can go ahead and have a larger engine on this and still be okay. Let's see. Lander legs. Three or four? I don't know. I never really liked using anything with 3. I usually like using 4 times symmetry. Let's see. Are these jettison rockets? They are. Alright. So, let's see here. Back one's in the way. I can already tell. Yeah, it's in the way. Well, I guess we don't need those if we already have lander legs. What I was trying to do is try to figure out if I could just have the jettison rockets on here, and then once we actually land on the moon, we can just use the jettison rockets to lift us up and off the surface, and then use the main fuel for everything else. Not really necessary, but kind of nice to do. Let's see. Always need a decoupler. And we need a main rocket body. So let's go ahead and add these. Just 2 of these will be fine for our purposes. We don't need our one that has thrust vectoring yet. Not really sure how well this will work, but it certainly has a lot of power. So NASA would probably look at this and frown, but I like it. So let's see. We have all the decouplers we need except for that one, which is great. Now I need to figure out our thrust for these. So I want to use these in sets of 2 and not all at once. So I want that that middle one there and the bottom one. Are they right next to each other? Gosh, I can't tell. I want these to be separated so that way we can use them bit more sparingly, so I'm just going to do this one at a time. That one, that one. There we go. And separate these 2 out, and then the center one is going to go, and then we finally separate this, and then use this booster here. And pod and parachute are kind of one and the same. I guess you can't really activate them both, but that's okay. Let's see, anything else? I know I don't have any mystery goo. I don't really want to use mystery goo because we are planning on going to the moon, so we don't really need it. Alright, Will this make it to the moon? Probably not, but it's worth a try. Let's go ahead and get our Kerbal. We got Jebediah. Set up an action group for these on 1. So, they changed it, so it's no longer toggle, it's raise/lower, so that way you know what that means instead of just saying toggle. Don't really like that, but whatever. Gear, I guess, is the same. I don't know. It'll be fine. I don't think we may not actually have enough power to get back. That's one thing I didn't take into account. We'll be fine. Who needs electricity? We'll just give it a push. It's on the moon anyways, right? Alright, so let's call this the Apollo 1. Save it and launch. Another nighttime launch. I do apologize if this is too dark, but we work with what we got. So here we go. Alright, so now we have a fairly circular orbit around Kerbin, and the moon is over that away. So let's see what we can do with orbital maneuvers to get an intercept. Alright, that looks good enough for me. It's kind of an interesting orbit, but we'll see what happens. Are we going to make it all the way back to Kerbin? Who knows? Probably not. Hopefully we will. We'll see what happens. I really don't think we're going to be able to actually get back to Kerbin from this mission, but we'll see what happens here. Yeah, 500,000. That is wonderful. Let's see if we can fix that a little bit. Alright, 130,000 is a lot better. Doesn't look like we're using electric charge either, so that's always nice. Alright, well, here we are at good old Moon. And I need to establish my orbit. Very nice. fuel check. Well, we got plenty of fuel. Our craft is nice and lightweight, so this may actually be doable. 70,000 meter orbit is a bit weird for me, but who cares? I'm not really gonna be that picky now that we actually have arrived at the moon. Oh, what am I doing? I'm not even going to be able to circularize the orbit. We don't have enough fuel for that. I'm just going to have to do a land. Once we get at this proper area here. Alright, well, I don't know if we want to do a crew report now or later. I guess we can do multiple crew reports. That's right, we already tested this. So let's go ahead and go EVA. Haha, science value 24. Wow, that is significant. Alright, so let's go ahead. Come on, grab it. Alright, so that's stored, and now I want to see what he says if he's looking at Kerbal from the moon. Doesn't seem to be all that much difference. So that's still good to know. That's weird. Alright, now that we're here, I don't really want to land on such a horrible plane. Yeah, but we don't have a choice. We have to land. We have to land now. Here we go. Alright, well, we got enough fuel, so we will be able to actually achieve landing. Yeah, we're not making it back to Kerbal with that low amount of fuel. There ain't no way. have landed on the moon on our second mission. So that is excellent. Let's go ahead and go EVA right now as he falls on his back. Yeah, get up there. All right. So now we can do, take surface sample. That's new. In 120. Wow, that's a lot. EVA report from the Midlands. That's incredible. There we go, we have our flag. Site name. I don't know. Touchdown. There we go. We've made it to the moon. Jebediah is nice and happy. Probably gonna be able to establish an orbit, I hope, with that low amount of fuel that we have remaining, but definitely not gonna make it back to Kerbal. There's just no way. And he's in. And the samples get stored too, so I guess if you were actually able to go to a different area, if we zoom all the way out here, maybe if you took a sample from inside a crater, or maybe from up on top of a tall mountain. There's not really a whole lot of mountains, but I guess up on a crater wall, you might get different rock samples, and then you can bring all these back to Kerbal. So that is very new, very interesting, very cool. I love this new campaign mode so far. It's awesome that they added that. Yeah, we have practically no fuel left in this pod. Gosh. Well, let's just see what we can do. I'm gonna try to take off here and get into orbit. Uh-oh. Well, we are completely out of fuel. Definitely not getting into orbit. That sucks. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the next episode of Kerbal Space Program Career Mode. Yeah, I guess I'll see you all next time for the next episode. Definitely gonna have to design a better craft if we're going to go back to the moon. I'm not gonna let Jebediah die like this, but at least now we know about some of the new things that you can do in career mode if you actually go to the moon. So I'm gonna be a little bit more conservative next time about what we do. I'm going to pack together a larger rocket with some more fuel. Probably a double of this tank would be perfect. And then just get some science values from actually orbiting the moon and stuff, and get some more technology. And then we can have better results. So that's the goal. See you all next time.